Hello, everybody, and welcome to your week two live Q&A. I hope you're having a fun time so far, and I hope you're having a great learning experience with this course so far for After Effects. If you have any questions at all, feel free to put them in the classroom questions, and I will be more than happy to answer them. And I know this week we've learned, last week we've learned importing layers from Photoshop, precoms, morphing text, morphing shapes. There have been so many things that we've learned about how we can use different tools in our tools kit so that we can create some basic foundational animations and then continue to layer them and continue to build from them. Hi, Naima. I'm so happy that you joined.
Hi.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome aboard. I was just a recording for you guys to watch later, and I was just talking about what we did in week two. Would you like to say something about your experience so far?
Actually, I'm excited to finish this course, and every time I learn something new. And thank you, by the way, thank you for approve my late submission request.
Of course, yeah, no problem. I know that we can get stuck in cycles sometimes, and then we have to manage learning and then life and everything in between. So as long as you submitted before, end of the course, I mean, you have already submitted it, but just for everyone else, as long as you submitted before the end of the course, I can at least give you feedback for that. That would be great. But yeah, so far so good. I'm going to give you live feedback today too. So while I'm giving you the live feedback, feel free to ask any questions about troubles that you went in and problems that you rushed in. So what's your background and what are you shooting for this course?
Actually, my major, I had, I gained my master degree in animation and visual effects. And now I'm lecturer at one of the college here from UAE college, teaching motion graphics, short film production. But I need more knowledge about motion graphics so I can develop what I'm teaching.
That's awesome. And it's so nice because motion graphics has just emerged in the last couple of years as one of the most important tools in social marketing, advertising, and commercials and broadcast design. Over the years, it's becoming more and more um, a very in demand skill. So, and now the resources that we have available for us to learn is incredible. Because I always tell my students when I started, like maybe 15 years ago, learning motion graphics was very, very niche. Like specific universities did it. If you wanted to learn something, you had to learn from the books. Imagine trying to like figure out what your problem is through a learning book. It was not fun at all.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
yeah. And now we have so many tutorials and we have courses. Like this course that you are experiencing right now is like I don't know, a master's education, independent contract experience of the most things that has been popular in demand for motion graphics is all like squeezed into this course in 8 weeks. So it is definitely giving you those learning skills of not only like, oh, what can be expected, what kind of work can be expected, but also like how do you go about it, and how do you kind of like think, because it's also a process. And I'm sure the more and more, I mean, this is week two, but and you're a teacher too, so you would know that it's very important for the process and the preparation and the organization of creating digital art. And it's I teach a lot of foundations as well. This is a foundational course, but other than motion graphics, I also teach foundationals and designs and how to kind of like perceive that and how to kind of like apply that in spaces and create that sense of balance and harmony in design. So there's so much to it. And when you come in this course, I try to kind of like take all of that and kind of squeeze it inside an 8-week course. But has been very successful so far. And a lot of, I've been teaching this course for like 6 years now, and it has been a great journey. So in terms of like, we only have like two people in this course. So I would like to inform you that we can do things which are very customized to your need towards this course as well. Like, I understand you're a teacher and you're looking for resources, so I will go ahead and give you like a resource information that you can also share with your students and moving forward. And kind of like, the thing with teaching is like you have to be so updated in everything that's going around and what you're teaching, that you're able to kind of like inspire your students and tell them how they can achieve their animation goals. And some of the resources that I use for myself, let me show you. I'll share my screen and I'll show you some of the resources. Like, there's this one community, and I always share this in at least one live Q&A that I do with my students. It's called Motionographer, and I'll share my screen in a bit and I'll show you like what I'm talking about. Because as digital artists, as artists in general, we need to stay motivated, and we get mental blocks, and we want to learn our skills, and we want to kind of like, you know, be good at what we do, and all of those things. So once in a while, I'll go into this website here and I'll get so much inspiration. So it's called Motionographer. So you write motion and then ographer. And motionographer basically stemmed from a person who, after graduation, you know, created a cool community for motion graphics artists to be able to kind of like see what's going on. So you'll see like highlights from what's going on in the industry, and what kind of animations are making through, and who's winning awards, and I don't know, latest news and technology in terms of motion graphics. And that's also a thing that I always tell my students, that even though motion graphics is, we think of 2D animation, or we think of graphical animation, artist animation, but it also plays a very important role in the 3D realm of things. So it really depends on your skill set and where you want to continue exploring, or what kind of a style do you want to approach. Like, if I, after being a digital artist after 15 years, if I were to ask myself what my style is, my style is this. I would be 100% really good at making something like that. Like the color schemes, the shadows, and even the products and the little illustrations are up to like something that I would do. So in this phase where you're learning motion graphics, I always encourage my students to, learners, whoever's taking this course, I always encourage them to continue to look into their um like, what is it, what's their style, what kind of work they want to do, and is it 2D, is it 3D, what kind of textures they want to create. All of this kind of stuff. Is it going to be like stop motiony, or is it going to be like traditional 2D animation, or motion graphics is a deep pool in terms of that. So this is a place where I come for, to kind of keep update with motionographer. Another place that I go often is another entrepreneur, actually, and his stuff is called Gray Scale Gorilla. See if I can find it over here. I often show this to my community as well, because I feel like this person has some really a really cool way of integrating 2D motion graphics with 3D. And even though you guys are just still learning foundationals, but there's so much more things that you can plug in After Effects. And I usually don't try to overwhelm you with so much information, but I do touch some points where it's like, okay, right now you're foundational and you're learning how to, and understand conversations, but eventually you will be surprised on how much more you can do with that tool that you're learning right now. And it's just a stepping stone of like, oh, I can move things and I can do scales and positions and the sense of video editing. But there's a lot more that you can do. In this place, this person, like, he creates a lot of like materials, textures, backgrounds, and he also teaches you on how you can use these materials in Cinema 4D. And Cinema 4D is an advanced tool, but it can still be started at any point, like basic. It's also very user friendly if you already understand the 3D world, like, depth of space and XYZs, then it comes in very handy to quickly learn that. um and you can create a lot of cool stuff in there. But for this class, we're not worried about getting this quality yet because we're still in our foundations. But I just wanted to show you that this person also has this entity. It has become an entity now, but they also have really cool resources in terms of video tutorials and After Effects tutorials, and even cool stuff like how you can make 3D elements within After Effects without using any external plugins or anything. So it's pretty cool. These are some of the resources I share. And then I'm trying to think. And then there's forums. I usually go through Creative Cow. And Creative Cow is basically a huge forum of people who, use After Effects, or, in the world of like code generation and anything digital that you want to do, you can go into these forums. It's a very cool forum in terms of like looking up questions. So I always tell my learners, my students, like, if you get into a roadblock where you're working in the middle of the night, you're trying to get something, you have to submit the next morning, and you need to figure out how to do a certain effect or create a certain effect, then you would go into and then you would try to find the approach different things that have helped them, and then you can also kind of use that to your advantage. And I have had a lot of help when I had first started working with agencies, and when I had first started working with studios as a motion graphics designer. These were the places I would go to find some answers, to understand certain things, certain processes. And this is something I also tell my students a lot, that the way After Effects work is so unpredictable. It's a very unpredictable software. As much as it is predictable in terms of like, you do want to create something and you do follow tutorials and it just kind of goes through. But for the most part, it's always very unpredictable, because you're trying to diagnose something, you're trying to figure out why something is not working, and you're trying to apply logic, and you're trying to like come up with different creative ways of doing it, or pushing the boundaries of how much you know and how much you can create. But by the end of the day, After Effects can be very unpredictable in terms of how you want to do something. So figuring it out, going around it, and not stopping is the key here. So that would be something that I would highly recommend, is don't stop. Just don't stop. Just keep doing it. There were times in my life I questioned why I picked After Effects as a software than any other software, because it has the power of driving me crazy, especially when it slows down, especially when it renders, takes for hours, and then I come back and there's this like teeny tiny dot or a period left somewhere. I have to go back and re-render. So there are some really interesting moments with After Effects, but for the most part, when you get past that uncomfortable, of learning new software, then you can get really creative with it. And now motion graphics is really bleeding into social media. Like in the last couple of years, I think knowing how to edit videos, add text, animations, images, videos, and creating content has become really popular in the last couple of years. And market has opened up even to like cell phones. First it was just like very confined to entertainment, to like TV mostly, but now we're like getting out, because we have webinars and we have online events, and then we have a different way of working, a different way of being entertained. We have games, and we have like all of these different realms of being entertained. And then you have to kind of like see where you fit in that. Do you fit in the social media? Do you fit in the TV? Do you fit in the broadcast? And the more you try to ask those questions and the more clarified you are about which direction you want to head, then you can focus on those learning those tools and focus on just learning that skill that you're trying to reach, the skill that you're trying to learn. So yeah, just keep these things in terms of like motion graphics, because it is a very interesting tool if you create and because it's an expression tool as well as an artist. If especially if you're a digital artist, it's a very good expression tool. A lot of the digital artists are people who can reflect beautiful things in art and then use tools to create that and communicate that. Okay. Any questions so far, Naima? I went on a rant there.
It's so informative, and I like the websites. It's nice to have something like those websites as a reference and resources. I mean, Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
And yeah, of course, you're most welcome. And every week we're going to be kind of like exposed to something new other than, what we're doing in the course. Because if you're just, trying to learn how to do assignments and use certain skills, that's not enough to kind of like get you ready for. So each week you'll kind of like through live Q&As, you will be able to hear my experience. Now, the only thing that I also tell my students when we have like smaller classes, I always tell them to, come up with questions, that you have. Maybe you don't have any questions about like maybe how a certain thing is working because you have the demo videos, you search, you do YouTube, you have some process going on. And then you get my feedback and you respond to that. But if you have any other questions other than that, like what are the trends or what were the roadblocks? Or how's the pipeline or what's the structure? How does this happen? How does that happen? Free free to like either come to the live Q&A or put those in the discussion or questions in the question sections, and I will be more than happy to answer that. um but each week is going to prepare you for the world, for the motion graphics world. I wish it could prepare you for the world, but for the motion graphics world. And in the week 8, like the final week, we're going to have like a discussion about what we're going to be like, what's the job market, what are the different titles that motion graphics artists have, and which path that they can take. We're kind of like dwell into that deeper, and even where to start and how to even apply, or what to even Google search, and what's the price range, what's full-time freelance. You learn a certain skill, you do want to apply it and start using it. So week 8 is going to kind of like prepare you for that. But for now, even though I've exposed you to so much more you can do, but we still want to keep our focus and we still want to keep our strength and energy into building those little foundations and those skills. So if you just keep doing those assignments the best you can and keep pushing them and utilize the whole week, then you should be fine going through the course. And I would highly recommend to aim for the certificate as well, because that's something that you can. And the certificate is basically, you have to submit at least 6 assignments. I recommend all 8 of them, because each block is a part of your final reel that you can use and keep editing and keep improving along your career. So let's look at your feedback section and see. There's one from the past as well, so I'll go in there and kind of do that too. Okay, so for this one, okay, so this is Rose's work. Let's do like a feedback. Okay. All right. So this is pretty cool. Um, for this week's assignment in terms of like shapes. I mean, you had the idea, right? But obviously, it's super tiny. It's like 3 seconds long. We couldn't even like sit into it or kind of like see what was going on in there. But it was off for a good start. I think it has all of those elements in there to kind of like grab attention and um do all of those things. And the music was there, but it was only for 3 seconds. So we need to kind of figure out how we can do that. All right, and then let's see if we go to your stuff. All right. This was so beautiful. This was really good. You really understand really well how you can take foundational course, like a foundational skill set, and turn it into something bigger than that. So that was amazing. I loved how you created the back, did the text thing. I think it was pretty cool. Half of it is very flowy, very rhythmic in a sense, like it has a nice flow to it. And that's the thing about flow, is that, let's say you have 8 elements like on the screen right now, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, yeah, and all of them are moving in harmony to each other. They're not moving like each other. They have some sort of a harmony that's very important, and you captured that essence really well. So good job with that, and good job taking a simple technique of morphing into a form of a very cool transformative dance. So that was pretty awesome that you did that. Color schemes are great as well, because the hardest part as an artist sometimes is challenging, is to find the right color scheme where everything is blended harmoniously and nothing is going off contrast or lower hue, especially if you are trying to grab attention on certain parts of your assignment. So that's pretty cool. A good example would be, let's say if we needed some product to come up, then it would be a little bit brighter and a hue and a higher hue level, so that it kind of pops out. Little subtle things like that go a long way. But in your example, I think you've done a very good job with that. Music is syncing really well, so good job with that. Now the only comment I have is for the typeface. I think your overall um performance is really good, but the text is kind of the type of text that you've used is a little off from the overall theme. So maybe even something more petite, maybe, or maybe something even more less like handwritteny, more like proportional. We can look into the else is so emotional, so we also want to kind of keep the same theme in terms of keeping everything. But that's the only comment I have, and I think it's looking great. So keep up the good work and keep pushing that. And this could be a really good assignment to use on your website, or share it with someone who you did be interested in working for. And then for this assignment, let's see. So for the style frames, I think you did a very good job with the style frames too. Now the good part is that you have a very good sense of just textures and patterns and color schemes. I think those are your strengths, and those are your highlights for sure. The only the only thing we need to work on is maybe, I don't know, this it looks a little squished. Maybe it could be a perfect circle rather than being a little squished. It doesn't look like it's more like an oval. So if it can, and you'll see, like even tweaking these little details of proportion can make things look really fine. Fine in a sense, like high quality. So let's just make sure that is that. And I mean, we can kind of like play around with it and see, but something around it, like a white bumper sticker or some feel to it, or, have some sense of a space, like these are all the way in the back and this is in the front. And usually you can do those kind of things if we have kind of like a bumper sticker effect. But I wouldn't take out the simplicity of what it is, because it looks nice with the simplicity, and I like how you cut different things in one place to make it look unique. I think that's awesome. But I think to blend this more in, because I feel like the hue and saturation that's coming out from the background is a little um this needs to be a little bit more contrasty. But then again, it doesn't have to lose all of its essence being a little bright. Just the whole purpose is to maybe even use like a filter, like a filter on top that would kind of merge them together in the same hue. So a very light filter of maybe a red opacity all the way down, like a small little like filter on it. And you can either do that in Photoshop with a photo filter, or you can go into After Effects and go into effects and presets and look for that filter, which is called photo filter, and you just grab that and throw it on your layer, and then you'll be just the parameters on that. I think this one is looking super awesome. Like, these are the frames that you're going to be animating as well. So make sure that if you are going to be taking this frame, then try to find a video or try to like animate, or try to find some movement in these balls or circles, or whatever it is. And then have some movement of, like this one and this one, I feel like could be the first and the second, like a GIF. We could make a GIF, and then we make a GIF over here, and maybe another GIF with this one, and they're just kind of changing. Kind of like doing that kind of a change move where it's like it's doing this and this and this. Kind of create that motion all in all three of them. I think that would be pretty cool. This one is perfect. I love how it is. The only thing is space and harmony. Looks like there's more space here, and then maybe we can make this smaller, or kind of move things around a little bit to see how we can mesh that up. But you got the vibe right. MTV has that vibe for sure. I feel like this was MTV's vibe, like in the 90s. It was such a cool vibe in 90s. What I don't know what's the latest going on in MTV right now, but for the longest, they had turned into something really awful, even though they were so cool in the beginning in the 90s. In the 80s, they were super cool too. But this is a vibe I remember of MTV. So good job capturing that. Again, the same thing. Again, the same feedback I gave you for the first one. Just perfect circle, a photo filter to blend everything. I feel like this is more blended with the color scheme you have going on in the back. It's just a matter of making those. And again, it would be pretty cool to have some sort of emotion in the background, like maybe they're flipping or they're doing like certain things in the background to create that cool little visual. But yeah, that looks awesome. I can't wait to see this in motion and see how this is going to be. But what you've chosen and what you've chosen in terms of like your artwork, I think that's working really well. It looks very original, it looks very creative, it looks very professional. It's just a matter of hitting those right spots in terms of like when it turns, or when it cuts to the next shot, or what movement is happening to kind of create that cool vibe to it. And of course, if you find the right music, I think it will come out really good. So yeah, and along the way, if you have any questions about like I'm trying to create this effect, I don't know if this effect is this or that, feel free to more than happy to like answer your questions, or even help you find those places where you can actually do that. Right. So that's all we have for. Uh-huh.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that I add the same filter on the third frame to the first one, like it is like painting, and I change the mode to screen. I think it's screen or vivid. So I'm not sure if I can use this filter also at the first and the last one, so I can. Um, they are like the same family of frames. I don't know of, or I leave it as it is. It's like intro to my story, then the red in the two second and third frame, they are like red, and then back to blue. What do you think?
No, I like the
Do I
way
keep them
I
like
like the way the things are. I like the way the I just like everything the way it is. Just if we can match the filters of the first and the last, I think that will create the consistency. So we don't need to complicate or, change too many things. We just want to make it blend. So whichever filter you're using on your last frame, try to kind of match that filter to the first frame to and still continue to keep it simple because we don't want to get lost in the design part of it. You nailed the design part of it. It's just a matter of like the filter and colors because we want to tweak it even further. I want you to focus on the animation now because you got the design fine. Now just go and focus on the animation because it's going to take you time because there's a lot of pieces, a lot of loops, a lot of like it's not going to be difficult, but it's just a process of like coming up with the simple loops and gifs and all of those things to bring that because a lot of the style MTV has is very pop up, appearing, disappearing, looping, a lot of those kind of animations that they do. So yeah, so don't complicate it at all. Don't overthink it at all. Wherever you are right now, I think you're doing a great job. Just keep it simple, keep it going, keep it attractive, keep it visually engaging in terms of like how things are moving. With a good music, I think you should be good.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course, yeah, and really happy to have you in my class. And where are you currently located?
I'm here in UAE, United Arab Emirates.
Oh, I see.
It's
That's
and
great.
and the other other side of the world, it's you are
Yeah.
in California, I think, or America.
Yes, I'm in
Yeah,
California in America. Yes, this
yeah.
is great.
I've yeah, I've been studying there like from 2011 to until 2015. I got my master degree from San Francisco Academy of Art University
Oh, this is
in a 3
great. Wow.
in the 3D animation, but mostly my work now is like focusing in filming and motion graphics and digital storytelling. So I'm trying to enhance my like excel my ability to learn all of these the new updates of
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
subjects.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And you're in the right place. So I'll be sharing a lot of that stuff, say in the right
that's
place at all. And like I said, if there's specific resources that you think of, like, hey, what about this or what about that? I know when you start learning new things, you don't even know which questions to ask sometimes because you're still learning and you're still going through the process. But anything that pops up that's confusing or you're not clear about something other than the assignments and the projects, feel free to reach out to.
great. Thank you so much.
All
Really,
right.
I miss California.
Oh yeah. Of course, California is California. The taxes are so high, but nobody wants to leave because it's so nice here. Uh miss
Yeah,
the sun and the vibe and everything is really nice. But yeah. Well, Naima, it was really nice meeting you and I will see you again next week. And all the best and
minded.
feel free to reach out.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye bye.